This is the most powerful Pepperball gun I have ever reviewed on this channel, and this is the most scared I've ever been to make a video. I'm a little nervous because I don't know what this one's gonna do. I guess I'll shoot a tree first. First thing I'll do is shoot a tree. Ooh, shit, that's too loud for out here. We gotta go. Yikes. That's crazy. Are there any situations where a less lethal weapon is a viable option for home defense? In past videos, the comment section has been very vocal saying less lethal has no place in home defense. It's gotta be lethal force. But have you ever seen this video? A little baby mama drama, ex-husband showing up to pick up the kid, arguing with the stepdad, somebody gets shot. Or this video, ex-boyfriend trying to break in the front door and the dad handles business. There are tons of scenarios where using less lethal force would be a good move, and I think the Grimburg Gavle might be the answer for situations like that. Now, this is a sponsored video. Grimburg sent me the Gavle for testing and evaluation, but they told me that I didn't have to test it on myself. But I do what I want. Now, if I'm going to explain to you what this thing does, I have to know for sure what it actually does. It's a CO2 launcher, and it shoots irritant rounds with tear gas in them and impact rounds that are made of metal. I'll give you the quick version with spoilers. This thing is badass, it works really well, and it hurts a lot. I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to go check out the Grimburg Gavle. I told those boys we're definitely gonna find out what this thing really does. So then they were like, okay, just shoot something hard. The tear gas rounds will break and then you can inhale that and describe its effects. And I was like, duh, that's obvious. And they said they definitely wouldn't take an impact round. But I do what I want. The problem is this thing is so loud and so powerful. It uses these big bohunkin threaded CO2s. Finding a place to shoot it was difficult, and finding people willing to shoot me with it was really difficult. Plus, the whole time, this is 39 joules. I've never been hit with anything like that before. Just standing in the front yard by the tree, I'm gonna shoot this in here a couple times.
You want me to tell you how loud it is?
Like if somebody heard that, they would think it was gunshots?
They would probably call the cops.
All right. These were the rounds that I was going to be testing. This is their CS, and this is the scary one. This is the impact round. Look how mean it is. It sucks the light out of a room. I've been hit with impact rounds before, but they were all polymer. This one's at least partially metal. So the guy said that if I was insisting on getting hit with it, maybe take it on a meaty area like the thigh or the butt. But I do what I want. First of all, I'm an artist. This is what I do. I have to maintain my artistic integrity. Second, I am a trained professional. I am uniquely qualified to test and evaluate the actual effects and then figure out how that would actually work. And lastly, for the views, there's a sheriff's deputy sitting down the road. I'm about to go see what that hater's up to. This is probably a really bad idea, but I don't have any better ideas. I need to see what this thing does to a cantaloupe because I'm familiar with what other products have done to cantaloupes and what they've done to me, and I need to compare what this does to a cantaloupe to suss out what it might do to me. Turned his head into a canoe. It's all very scientific. But seriously, I do this professionally. I have very strict safety standards. There's checks in place. I have medical personnel whenever we're doing anything like this. You just can't always see it in the video because it's boring. But don't do any of this. These are trained professionals in controlled environments doing these tests, believe it or not. 5 rounds, then I'm gonna breathe it. Yeah, it's bad. Oh, it's a spicy meatball. I wouldn't come any closer than that, son. It burns. I don't have as much experience with CS, but it's different than pepper spray. Pepper spray causes your mucous membranes and everything to swell. This has all that burn. But it feels more like invasive, like into my whole head. It feels like I ate spicy food with my whole head. This stuff sucks. This is 10% tear gas, 2% OC, so a little bit of both. The function of this, I think, definitely is it makes a person want to leave the area they're in. That's the purpose of tear gas. Even though these are designed to break apart, I still wasn't sure what they would do when they hit me or how they would feel, because we shot baby powder rounds and it went through the mannequin.
Shit, that's way too loud. But 100% I'm not shooting you.
Okay, I got you. Went.
You're gonna have me shoot you.
I've never had a gun put a round designed to break through the mannequin. Everybody's telling me that this is unnecessary. Nobody's gonna question you if you don't do it. My wife told me not to do it. My friends told me not to do it. The guy that makes the thing tells me not to do it. But I do what I want. And since I was so insistent on taking the impact round, he says, okay, I would do it somewhere meaty, like the thigh or the butt. But if I'm gonna tell you that this is suitable for self-defense or home defense, you're not gonna shoot someone in the thigh or the butt. You shouldn't be trying to. You'd be aiming center mass, because if we're talking about using something like this, it's probably something pretty serious. And you need to have an idea of how disabling this is gonna be. And I have to tell you that. So I have to take one center mass. I consulted with a few experts, some of it formally, some of it informally. You know who some of them are, but I won't name them and put them on the hook for this. But I thoroughly tested this thing. I wanted to make sure that it was predictable and reliable. Like, gas-powered weapons are not great as far as consistency, but this thing functioned reliably and predictably. Like, I knew when I pulled the trigger what was gonna happen. You get about 6 or 7 great shots out of it before you have to swap the CO2 out. This was comforting and surprising that this thing functions so well because of how much power is in this. Like, if you leave it gassed up, it'll damage. Like, the pressure in it is so great, it can only be gassed up while you're using it. So not being able to leave the weapon gassed up could be considered a drawback, but there'd be no way to get that much power safely into a weapon leaving it gassed up. It just wouldn't work. They do market it for concealed carry. This is the in-waistband holster. It's a very nice holster. The gun is a little bulky for me, for being a tiny guy. You know, I'm 5'5", 138 pounds, right? It's a little bulky for me. I probably wouldn't carry it like this, but you could. I'm not a huge fan of carrying in public without your weapon ready to go. If you need it, you're probably not gonna have time, and if you have time, you're probably not gonna need it, my opinion. But something like this in the paddle holster, I definitely think this is a great option, especially if you're gonna be out on a large property or you have problems with wildlife. We have bear and coyote here, and I can tell you that I am confident that these would be useful in those types of situations. The process for reloading is pretty simple, but it does require tools. You take this bottom plate off, and it's got a magazine spring and a follower. No removable magazine. You just put your 5 rounds in there, and that's it. You're not gonna be reloading it under pressure or in combat. I don't think, anyway. Now, while its size, the fact that you have to make it ready and its limited magazine capacity and reload might seem like drawbacks, there's no way to get this much power in a package this size without those things. And I don't think any of these things matter in those scenarios that I showed you in the beginning with the ex-husband or the ex-boyfriend. In those situations, the people did have time to make their weapons ready. They would have had time to recognize that something was going bad and make a weapon ready. They wouldn't have needed a lot of shots, most likely. This would have done the trick. Now, maybe you've gotten over whether or not someone could use less lethal in home defense, but maybe you're really stuck on why anyone would use less lethal in home defense. Like, if that really bothers you, like you can't even imagine why it's a discussion. Like, no, someone's coming into my house or threatening me on my property. You know, lethal force is the only way to go. That explanation is a little more complicated. It's gonna come as a shock, and someone should have explained it to you before now. You are not the only person on the planet. There are, in fact, other people. I know, that's crazy. There are places where you can't own firearms. There are people who can't own firearms. Or this might be really shocking to you. There's people that don't want to own firearms or don't want to use them or don't want to shoot and kill somebody that maybe they didn't have to. There are millions of people with millions of reasons not to own or use an actual firearm. I've investigated countless shootings, and the majority of them could have been resolved with something like this, and I unequivocally support the right of people to keep and bear arms. But some people just don't want to, and some people shouldn't. And that's okay. But as satisfying as it may or may not be to put a Pepperball up a bear's ass, if we're talking about two-legged varmints, I have to know what the impact round does, and I have to know what it does center mass.
Where am I shooting you?
Yeah, I just see that.
Oh, shit. You recording?
Yep. Yeah.
Right, sweet.
Jake, this is the hard part. Go!
Okay, hang on.
Go! Oh, fuck! Fuck! Oh, fuck!
Oh, hell no.
Fuck me!
You good?
Holy shit! Dude. Fuck, that hurt. That fucking hurt. That took, dude, I've taken these things before, and they usually sting. That felt like
A punch.
No, a bullet.
oh, Houston, we have a problem.
Oh, it's fucking
Oh, man.
Feel the swelling, Faith.
Lord,
Feel this.
oh, dude. Oh, that did some damage.
Oh my God, Jake. Good job. Thank you, sir. It was fantastic. I realized that I wasn't very articulate, and you might wonder what it actually feels like. And I also realized that you couldn't see the injury because of that forest on my chest, because I'm a real man. It was terrible. It was a thud. It knocked the wind from me in a minor way, not full on, but a small version of that feeling. And I gained a cup size in my right pec. I'm still swollen here. You can't see as much of the injury now. We're 4 days later, but this is all a knot. It's a knot this big right here, like half of an egg, and it's sore. Like, my muscles are sore. It was a real hit. I was worried that I was seriously injured for a few moments, especially as fast and as big as it swelled up. The chemical rounds, I think I could fight through quite a few of those. The impact rounds, I'm just having a hard time imagining fighting through that. I think that they would take the fight out of a lot of people. So final thoughts on this guy and on less lethal for home defense. Against an unarmed person, I do not feel undergunned with this. This combined with decent unarmed fighting skills, 5 impact rounds from this, or maybe some of the CS, I would feel supremely confident taking on anything man-sized or smaller with this thing. It hits hard. Some potential drawbacks, the aforementioned capacity issue and making it ready. I don't think that those matter in the scenarios in which I would want to use this. There are times where you have plenty of notice and you don't need tons of rounds. I think those things might be drawbacks in muggings or street robberies. But if you can't carry a firearm or don't want to carry a firearm, this is probably the next best thing. For the home, I just don't think that those things are really an issue unless you're being like invaded by cartel ninja assassins, in which case you're probably screwed anyway. For the types of things that actually happen very often, I think this does a pretty decent job checking all the boxes. The trigger pull is pretty long and heavy because there's so much pressure, but Jake just shot it a few times and then was able to hit me first try center mass from 30 feet away. I think that's pretty good as far as accuracy. But it's definitely viable for home defense, particularly if a firearm is not an option for you. And I think it might be more appropriate than a firearm in a lot of scenarios.